Rose, and this is my video series, David Does, where we are exploring new interesting topics, traveling to cool cities, or just doing things that I've never done before. The goal for my trip is to identify and find examples of the 9 qualities of Nordic daylighting. I'm using a book by an author, Professor Henry Plumer, as my guide to try to study what these 9 qualities of light are and how we could utilize them in North American architecture, or just to examine them more closely.
Before we jump into those 9 qualities of Nordic daylighting, I need to start off by identifying my Scandinavian design interests. I've always had a genuine interest in this part of the world, and it's based off of these 4 particular items: innovative architecture, the Northern Lights, beautiful landscapes, and timeless furniture. There's also this notion of a light phenomenon that happens in this part of the world. There is such a drastic difference of daylight that occurs throughout the year in this part of the world. The winter solstice, or December 21st, receives very little daylight, and the summer solstice, June 21st, receives drastic amount of daylight. Part of my exploration here is to understand how the architecture responds to this drastic difference in daylight. So the 3 red dots that are shown there are the 3 countries that I'll be visiting. Lastly, there's this notion of light health. WELL certification focuses on the physical environment that can benefit the health, well-being, and performance of its people. According to WELL, the exposure to adequate levels of sunlight is critical for health and well-being. Proximity to windows, outdoor views, and daylight in indoor spaces are some of the most sought-after elements of design. The 3 countries I'll be visiting on my trip are Iceland, Norway, and Denmark. Now let's look at the 9 qualities of Nordic daylighting. For clarification, we'll just identify the qualities and we'll get into the actual definitions later on in the video. Whiteness, rhythm, journey, carving, forest, tranquility, transiency, diffusion, and finally, darkness. After each example that we find, we'll fill in this chart, and hopefully by the end we'll have all 9 represented by a modern or contemporary example of architecture.
Today, I'm losing my hat. Oh my God. Today we're in Reykjavik, Iceland, exploring the Harpa concert hall behind me. So let's go in and take a look.
The Harpa Concert Hall is designed by Henning Larsen Architects, based out of Denmark. The project was complete in 2011, and the site is right in the heart of Reykjavik. So the first quality of Nordic daylighting that I found is rhythm, the embodiment of the pulse of nature in vibrating patterns of light. And this is seen most dramatically by the geometric facade. Of course, the facade is the key identifier in this building. It pulls everyone to it. It's such a cool example of contemporary architecture. The dichroic film on certain panes of glass offer unique and transformative color throughout the day. I thought that was really interesting. And of course, at night, it glows. This atrium is absolutely incredible, and it really brings people together. And of course I say that and there's nobody in here, but I swear the first floor lobby had tons of people gathering. The building itself is such an economic driver for the city and the country, bringing in so many global events and performances to the city. This is the drive to our first stop. Of course, it was freezing there. I couldn't believe it. So many layers, and it was brutal.
To escape the cold, we went straight to the Blue Lagoon.
Everybody says it's really touristy, but yeah, we're tourists. Who cares, you know? I mean, it was such a cool place to go see. So the water itself is heated by geothermal volcanic heat from under the ground. The blue water is from various minerals, including sulfur and silica that's in the water. It was a very healing experience and the best way to spend the day when considering the temperatures were in the 40s Fahrenheit. It was a great experience and I would highly recommend.
At this point, we had been up probably 24 hours, so to celebrate, we had some fantastic cocktails to end the night.
This day became our driving day. Our first stop was only about 10 minutes outside the city to the Church of St. Janarnes by architect Porter Jornsen. So St. Janarnes is actually a whole different city adjacent to Reykjavik. So this church was built in 1989 and is constructed of a series of different faceted roof panels. This project is the second quality of Nordic daylighting, which is diffusion, the widespread distribution and softened glare of scarce natural light. Considering the minimal amount of window area in this space, so much of the daylighting is reflected off of the ceiling planes, and the use of light color materials helps to diffuse that light across the volume of space. So you cannot come to Iceland and not experience the natural beauty. So we did what's called the Golden Circle, which is just outside of Reykjavik.
One of our stops was to Friedheimer.
What's notable about this place is they grow all of their own tomatoes in-house. So the restaurant itself has tables surrounded by tomato vines.
Of course, my lunch was tomato themed.
Okay, at Gullfoss Falls right now. From the parking lot, it looks absolutely amazing. Just wait till we get up there. Here is my chart of the 9 qualities of Nordic daylighting. We found 2 out of the 9, so 7 more to go. Next up, I'm heading to Oslo, Norway, where we continue the hunt for the 9 qualities of Nordic daylighting.
search for 9 qualities of Nordic daylighting continues. Coming to you from Oslo, Norway. Beautiful place so far. A little cloudy, but I think it might clear up later. We'll see. We're going to go check out the Astrup Fearnley Museum, designed by Renzo Piano, completed in 2005. His buildings are heavily inspired by location and function. In the case of the Astrup Fearnley, the building design, specifically the roof structure, is inspired by the sailboats of Oslo Bay. You can clearly see that up close and, of course, from a distance. Another key component of a Renzo Piano building is its connection to light, and that's why this project was one I wanted to experience. So many of his buildings have a roof structure that incorporates filtered light. And for a museum, having carefully curated light is very important. Tranquility. The peaceful glow and solitude of unadorned things reduced to their essence. Bringing in a peaceful glow to the art pieces themselves, and then the overall aesthetic of the interiors is very much focused on the art and not on the architecture. The unadorned things reduced to their essence helps to bring that notion forward. So the Astrup Fearnley captures tranquility. That gets us 3 out of the 9 qualities of Nordic daylighting. So a short walk away from the Astrup Fearnley is Oslo Bay. And one important part of Norwegian culture is ice baths. And this is something that all people participate in, locals and tourists alike. And so, of course, I had to get involved. We rented a floating sauna in Oslo Bay that overlooked the Oslo Opera House. I found this online and I thought, oh my God, yes, I have to do this. The interior is the sauna component and then a changing room. You have to throw your own logs into the fire. And it was 150 degrees Fahrenheit in here. It was so hot. It was my turn to do the Norwegian ice bath, and I could only get knee deep. It was freezing. Floating sauna, check. This is the Oslo Opera House, designed by Snøhetta. This project has been a dream of mine to visit in person since architecture school, and to see it in real life was breathtaking. An incredible feature of this building is the open promenade that brings visitors up the slow, gradual ramp to the roof above the theater, and you have a phenomenal view of Oslo Bay. The quality of light that the Oslo Opera House captures is forest. The conversion of forest light into vessels and frameworks of wood. The forest as a building material has been prevalent in Norwegian architecture for centuries, and not just in buildings, but in furniture, boats, and children's toys. In Plumer's book, there's a description about how wood as a material reflects light in order to highlight the textural element of wood grains and color and vibrancy.
And so you can see in some of these late afternoon shots how beautiful that wood material is reflected through the glass facade and into the public space. And as a bonus, we saw a performance in the Oslo Opera House, and the acoustics were so cool. So now we have forest. 4 down, 5 to go. Outside of St. Halvard's Church and Monastery in Oslo, outside of the main city center. And here's the delivery truck. Great. Well, so much for recording outside the building. What I found so interesting with this church is that they are recreating that sense of winter darkness through architecture. Light itself is treated as a sensitive feature in the space. It's heavily controlled by these narrow apertures of window area. St. Halvard's was built in 1966. As you walk into the space itself, you're in complete darkness until your eyes adjust. St. Halvard's captures the quality of light of darkness, the resonance of dark beginnings and Arctic light in shadowy spaces. Now we've identified the quality of darkness. 5 complete. So walking along the edge of Oslo Bay, I came across the office of Snohetta, the architect that designed the Oslo Opera House. I was really excited and I wanted to go inside and take a peek, but I also didn't want to be a complete stalker, so I didn't go inside, but their building exterior looked pretty interesting. The next building site is the Oslo City Hall, designed by architects Arnberg and Poulsen. The quality of Nordic daylighting identified here is carving, the molding of light into compelling and unforgettable figures. As I meandered around the City Hall, each room is adorned with different artwork and faces a different cardinal direction, therefore receiving a different quality of light. Plumer describes architecture as an optical instrument that can be used to direct scarce daylight into every room exposed to the sky. The City Hall accomplishes that. A practice of sculpting light into recognizable and memorable shapes. This sculpting of light is seen most notably in the Grand Hall, with the clerestory band of windows along the top edge of the walls. This also provides a ton of ambient light in that open space. Also, there was some beautiful hand-painted art scattered around the City Hall, and here's some detail shots of that. Look how cool this is. So now we have carving. Look how many we've captured so far. It's looking good. On to the next. So my friend and I are finally leaving Oslo. This was a tremendous place to visit. And our last stop is the Oslo airport, of course. We gotta fly out of here. Designed by the Nordic Office of Architecture, based in Oslo. The quality captured here is journey. The galvanizing of space with alluring cues and beacons of light. What I found interesting about this space was, with Journey, it's important to understand how light can engage in a processional route and propel movement in people. It's an interesting comparison to the functional purpose of this building, the airport itself, and this ticketing check-in area. So we see how light and movement can work really well together in this space. It also works well for video selfies too. Well, we captured Journey, and we have 7 of the 9 qualities complete. I am so pleased. Norway blew me away with incredible architecture, and can't wait to visit again. Okay, on our way to Copenhagen, Denmark.
I am in Copenhagen, Denmark, and the search for the 9 qualities of Nordic daylighting continues. I've already been to Iceland and Norway and have had tons of great success, and I think Copenhagen is going to be just the same.
Bicycle culture is so strong in Copenhagen. Everybody bikes. So naturally, my friend and I booked an architecture site visit tour via bicycle through Copenhagen. One of our first stops was the Tietgen dormitory on the campus of the University of Copenhagen. This is designed by Lundgaard and Tranberg Architecture, based in Copenhagen. The quality of Nordic daylighting found here is transiency, the drama of expectation and loss in evanescent displays of light. Plumer describes in his book that there's the shifting angles of moving sun across Scandinavian transient skies. Obviously, light is always moving, and in a circular building form, like this dormitory building, every room is getting a unique experience all day and all year.
Transiency check. 1 more to go.
So one of the most innovative contemporary architects of the moment is Bjarke Group, BIG. They're based in Copenhagen, and of course the city has his work all over the place, including this one project, Copenhill. Originally designed as a waste-to-energy power plant, Bjarke Group added the additional feature of a ski run down the roof of the entire building. And the ski run is used all year round.
And no, I didn't try the skiing, although I really wanted to. Maybe next time. We ventured over to the Denmark Design Museum. I knew this museum had a great exhibit on furniture design, but they also had some great interactive exhibits like this one with hanging dichroic film acrylic plaques that allow people to walk amongst the exhibit and, knock into the panels too. Scandinavian furniture is one of my design interests. So to see it all on display and learn about how furniture design has progressed through the decades was really fun to learn about. And look at some of these crazy chairs. A short metro ride away is a big residential area called Orestad, including more of Bjarke work, The mountain dwelling is a terraced housing project with a concealed parking garage beneath this perforated metal screen. How's that for an egress stair? Wow. The parking garage levels are all color coordinated, and all the units have a rooftop garden. There I am capturing the moment. So right next door to the mountain is the VM houses, also by Bjarkingles. The defining features here is the pilotis columns, opening the base building to the public, and the triangular balconies for each apartment unit. The details of the balconies really captured my attention here. Finally, the last Bjarkingles project I visited here in Orestad is the 8 House. Bjark states that this project is the idea of mixing traditional program types like retail, row houses, and apartments in an untraditional way. The retail faces the street, the offices towards the northern light, and the residences towards the views and open space. The last stop in my Nordic daylighting journey is Bagsfjord Church, designed by Jorn Utzon. This church captures whiteness, the pristine beauty and illuminating power of pure white volumes. This building has the most prominent example of the material reflection of light. The board-formed concrete creates a peaceful glow as daylight enters the space through a single slit window above. This space has no artificial light present, which is just astounding. Incredible space. Well, we did it! The scavenger hunt for the 9 qualities of Nordic daylighting is complete. So exciting!
And so here are the takeaways, the things I learned that I think we can take advantage of in North American architecture and here at Corrigan. The first, reflect on it. One of the main lessons I learned from my trip and my explore topic is that daylight is not about the window area. That's not the only way you can capture daylight. Reflective materials and the dispersion of light within the space can still be accomplished with not a lot of glass area. So take advantage of other creative solutions in architecture.
The second takeaway is embrace the movement. As we know, daylight changes daily and seasonally. This constant change could be an opportunity to curate an experience in architecture or interior design. Maybe highlight a moment in time through sun movement or daylight. This could create a sense of discovery or offer something unexpected for someone. The last takeaway is be playful. What I saw here in Scandinavia is that there are so many opportunities for architectural design to be more than just purely functional. So many of these spaces are active, dynamic, or honestly just don't take architecture so seriously. Utilizing color, geometry, or pattern in combination with daylighting are great ways to bring playfulness to the architectural experience. I have to give a big thank you to Corrigan. This Explore trip was the catalyst for so much personal and professional growth for me, and I'm very grateful.